Okay, sixth graders, this screencast is specific to your essay. Seventh and eighth graders have some different requirements for revision. The revisions that you see here are very common revisions that I would do with my sixth graders in all the years that I taught language arts in the past. I want to be able to help walk you through some of these. In a traditional classroom, I might spend 1 or 2 days with these revisions, with supporting the students a lot very carefully and closely. So if any of this is difficult for you, or you just need someone to help you work through it, please come see me in the digital lab. Okay, that's my job. That's my purpose. You're not meant to struggle with this type of an assignment. Okay, I want to go over first what the revision is. Okay, revision is not always adding to. Revision is what we do when we want to make our writing better. Your draft is probably fine. It's not great and it's not your best effort. Okay, when we're drafting, we're trying to get the ideas down quickly, we're organizing our information, but usually when we're drafting, we're not paying super close attention to word choice or things that we can do that really make our paper better than it was before. Okay, a lot of times when we're younger, revision means what are we going to add? What are we going to add? What are we going to add? And you might be adding things, but mostly in revision, you're making changes, and it might be adding some things, it might be taking things out, and it might be rearranging some things, and it might also just be word choice. So let's get started. In the revision, you are going to take care of a few things. One is you're going to go back to your introduction and you are going to include at least 2 grabbers. A grabber is another way of saying a hook. You may have heard that be used in the past. A grabber or a hook is something meant to get attention. We want the person who's reading our essay to read the first 2 sentences and want to keep reading. Okay, so that might be a shocking fact or statistic. It might be an open-ended question, which means that's not going to have a yes or a no answer. It might be a quick quip, an anecdote, or a 2 to 3 sentence story. This might be an expert quote from your research. And it might even be, well, sorry, not it might be, your, this actually doesn't belong here. So there we go. Boom. You're going to finish your introduction paragraph with your topic sentence. It's not one of the grabber examples. So I'm glad I was able to catch that. You're going to then go through your essay and you're going to do what we call vary and vary transitions. And I'm going to talk about that. And I'm also going to talk about the rest of these things. So let's get started by talking about a grabber. Okay, again, the grabber is the tool that we use to get people's attention. And I have gone back to the essay that you saw in the draft, and I have added a few things. Okay, an open-ended question cannot have an answer that is a yes or a no answer. You can't say, I wouldn't be able to say, like, do you have a best friend? Are you a good friend? Do you like people? Because if the audience member answers no, you've lost your audience. They're not interested in the words that you have to say on the page. An open-ended question is going to have a variety of answers. Who is your best friend? I might say my best friend is Jan. You might say my best friend is George, or my best friend is Caitlin, or my best friend is Riley, or my best friend is Matthew, or whoever. This should elicit a different response from just about anybody that is asked that question. So open-ended means that the answer cannot be yes or no. A statistic or a piece of data, this would come directly from your research. And this does count as one of the direct quotes that you need to have in your piece. So according to the Survey Center on American Life, nearly 59% of Americans say they have one person they consider their best friend. In parentheses, I put the author Cox. This is a little bit more specific to the 8th grade requirements. You as 6th graders are not required to do this, but it is something that you can try if you feel comfortable with. And that just means that I'm going back to the article where I found it, And this is the article that I found that quote in. And the author of this article is Daniel Cox. So his name is in parentheses. Okay. Again, not a requirement for sixth grade, but something to try if you feel confident in that. This is, I call it a quick quip. It's a little left turn. It's just a little bit of sharing with the audience a little bit about you, but not getting sidetracked. So I just said, in my time on Earth so far, I don't like the so far part. In my time on Earth, I can pinpoint 2 to 3 best friends that I spelled wrong that I have had in my life. At this stage, I have different friends for different aspects of my life. Okay. All 3 of those are types of hooks. You're required to have 2 in your essay in order to get full credit. Come see me if you need help. Then you can see the rest of the introduction is similar to it was in the draft. What I've done right here is I've highlighted in yellow what my subtopics are going to be, or some details that make up a good friend. A good friend is someone who defends and protects, who is loyal, considerate, and kind, a person who is fun and brings out the best in their friends. And here, highlighted in green, this is the claim or the topic sentence. However, there are many common qualities that can be seen in all good friends. And that is my introduction paragraph. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with it. I hope you like it too. So we've taken care of our grabbers. Vary and bury the transitions. This means vary means that we're changing up, and bury means that we're going to try to bury it. We're going to try to put it within the sentence, or not necessarily be the first word of the sentence. So let me show you how this works. For starters, a good friend is a person on which someone can always depend. And the transition right here is for starters. I like to highlight transitions in blue. Okay. For starters, a good friend is a person on which someone can depend. So I might just do some changing right here. A good friend is a person on which someone can always depend, for starters. Sometimes it means you can just flip it and put it at the end instead of the beginning. Of your 3 transitions, your transition that goes, or your 4, there's a transition that's going to go into introducing your first aspect. There's going to be a transition going into your second aspect, and there's going to be a transition going into your third aspect, and there may or may not be a transition going into your conclusion. I kind of like it when there isn't a transition. No one wants to read in conclusion. However, you can do that if you'd like. So here are my 3 transitions. For starters, also on top of that. They're all different colors, of course. Wonderful. But these are varied. It doesn't say first, second, third. It doesn't say for starters, next, finally. Okay, I have for starters. Okay, so that's part of the for starters, next, and finally family. I have also, and that's part of the one, also, and finally family. And then I have at the bottom, in the middle, and on top of that family, I have on top of that. So if you remember from your past instruction, if you've had this experience, transitions tend to be like in families. You got first, second, third. Least favorite, I like, or most favorite. One thing, another thing, finally. Okay, so these are already varied. Let's see if I can bury this one. Another, here we go. We have also another. I don't need 2 transitions. I'm just going to have the one. Another, here we go. A good listener. How am I going to end this sentence? That's right. And good listener is another quality of being a good friend or having a good friend. Okay, so that's what it means to bury your transition. And I don't need you to do it for all of them. Feel free to, but I want you to bury at least one of your transitions. So jot that down, at least one, or pause this video right now, go back to your draft and make that change. Okay, let's go back to our instructions. Down with VBO! And you might be saying to yourself, what is a VBO? VBO stands for vague, boring, overused. Nice, neat, cool, fun, pretty. That's all I can think of offhand. But these are words that are very vague. They're not specific. They're boring. We've heard them all, and they are overused words. So I want you to go through your essay and see, of being a good friend, of being an exceptional friend. A good friend is a person in which you can always depend. You can probably say it about all good friends. All great friends. They are dependable. They are the first to help. Let me highlight some of these so you can see the changes that I made. Oh, let's highlight them in purple. Sure, why not? I forgot where exceptional went. You're probably going to find it. But you're going through, and you know what really helps with this, you guys? Read it out loud to yourself or read it out loud to someone and say, I want you to stop me every time you hear a boring or overused word. Okay. But this is just something that you have to do. I keep seeing the word good friend, good friend, good friend, good friend, good friend, good friend. It's overused. If it's overused in my own essay, it's definitely overused overall. Okay. So down with VBOs, come see me if you need help. All right. I would like you to try to have 3 to 4 direct quotes or data. 3 is the minimum. Okay, if you can only find 2 or you need help, please get help from your learning coach or come see me in the direct or in the digital lab so that I can help you with this. Okay, this is going to be specific data that comes from your research. So this might be a quote. Let's go back to this and see if we can find some specific data. Here we go. May 21 American Perspective Survey finds that Americans report having fewer close friendships than they once did. Oh, that's actually true for me. Let's see if we, oh, look at all these statistics. Nearly half say it is somewhat more difficult to make friends. So a statistic is going to have numbers, okay? 1 in 5, 25%. Okay, data is going to be a fact, a very specific fact. Okay, come see me. Again, come see me if you need help. Okay, I think a lot of you know what this stuff is. I'm not going to go into details on it. I'm going to rely on you to come to me. Now, at the end of your essay, as 6th graders, you do not have to have your works cited page be in any particular format. If you're comfortable with that, do it. It is the expectation for 7th grade and 8th grade. But at the end of our essay, we need to copy and paste the URL and provide the author. So real simple. I'm going to copy here, and I'm going to go to the bottom of my essay, and I'm going to paste it. And remember, Cox was the author. That is all you have to do. Let me just do something. Let me see here. Well, I'm not going to take the time right now to find a couple of others. The one thing that is important for you to remember is that, well, these don't have to be in alphabetical order because you're not doing an MLA format, and they're all going to start out HTTPS. So that is the expectation. But remember, you are required to have required sources equals 3. Okay, you are required to have 3 sources. Okay, remember in the pre-write, I told you, hey, make sure that you get information from 5 sources. And that's because a couple of your sources you might not have enough data for. Okay, so you're required to have 3. You're required to have 3. I'm going to actually highlight this so you even see it in the piece of paper that you have, yellow. I'll put that away. I will put that away. And now it's just going to pop out. All right. I think that's about it, folks. Come see me. I think I've invited you to come see me in the digital lab at least 4 times in this screencast. So you know what? Come do it.